The sky is blue, the direct deposit just kicked in, and the milk doesn't expire for another 3 weeks. We are eating deliciously good in the Ultimate Universe right now, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be reviewing Ultimate Spider-Man number 7. Spoiler warning, of course, we will be diving into the contents of the comic book itself, so if you haven't read it, just as a heads up. Also, if you enjoyed this video at any point, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's jump right into this comic book. First things first, I do want to mention the cover of the comic book itself. I'm always going to praise Checchetto. He does amazing work. And when I say he made this comic book work, he made it work overtime. I love the duality between the Green Goblin and Spider-Man because the main focus of the comic book is both of those characters. So this gives you an amazing window into the comic you're about to jump in and read. Our story begins with Dr. Otto Octavius giving us some pretty damn good exposition. As we can recall, Dr. Octavius is currently just a normal scientist working for Harry Osborn and the Oscorp Industries. We don't quite have Otto at his full-on tentacle villainy. But I do want to mention that the artwork does foreshadow Dr. Octopus having his tentacle arms. The very moment the story begins has Dr. Otto Octavius working on the Green Goblin suit. And there's a lot of wires and machinery around. Some of the tubing that's just hanging there makes Dr. Octopus look like he has his arms. But of course not, that's the optical illusion that the artwork is portraying. We are getting some masterful work with this art. Dr. Otto Octavius is explaining to Harry Osborn and Spider-Man that he understands the Green Goblin suit a lot more thoroughly now. Not so much Spider-Man suit because he explains it that it's like a version 2.0 compared to the 1.0 that is the Green Goblin suit. The main focus that Dr. Octavius explains is the fact that the suit has like a safe mode, and without it, turning it off, activates this AI mode, which as you read throughout the story, it's more of like a second consciousness that does help you strategize and just works with you, similar to how Iron Man has his Jarvis. Because of course, this is Stark technology after all. So we have to incorporate some of that into the suits. Now, more on the AI stuff later. Spider-Man doesn't even seem like he even likes the idea of having an AI. He just likes talking to himself. Getting into more subtle actions in the beginning scene of this comic. As Dr. Otto Octavius is, giving his exposition dump about how these suits work, Spider-Man, my hungry boy, is just eating a sandwich the entire time. And as I've mentioned before, I really love watching a superhero just depend on food for his power source. That's always great fun. So seeing Spider-Man just munch on a sandwich here, it's great continuity. It's fun. As he's eating the sandwich, he hasn't really fully removed his mask. He just removed the part that allows him to eat. Everything else from his nose, over his head is covering his head. Never throughout this entire comic, or as far as we know, has he revealed himself in front of Dr. Otto Octavius. So as far as Otto knows, this is just Spider-Man and Harry, his vigilante friend, As Otto continues explaining more about how the suit works, the technology, Spider-Man's eating his sandwich, Otto walks up to Spider-Man with like a needle and extracts some blood sample. Spider-Man doesn't do anything, of course, except ask Harry whether he fully trusts this man. Harry vouches for him, and so Spider-Man just goes along with it. As for the sample that Otto took, well, he just puts it away for later. Who knows what he's gonna do with it. As for the AI that's gonna be playing within the suits themselves, Harry tells Otto that he wants one that sounds like his father. Since Spider-Man enjoys talking to himself, he gets an AI that just sounds like him. Now we can already see seedlings in potential story plots. Especially over the fact that Otto explains that the suits, once you turn on this AI, they remain on forever until you completely reboot the suits. Now, who knows what that actually entails, but those are the stakes. The AI will remain on. We get a brief moment where MJ is showing Gwen Stacy, or better yet, Gwen Osborn? Gwen Stacy Osborn? I mean, she is married to Harry Osborn. Anyways, MJ shows Gwen the building that she is now funding the business of. It gets explained in previous issues upon encountering Harry Osborn and making friends with him. MJ took it upon herself to try to get some of that funding from Gwen's business over helping out Uncle Ben and his newspaper business that he's doing with J. Jonah Jameson. And this is Gwen supposedly her first time trying to meet the actual newspaper owners themselves. Upon getting to the door, they notice that a note's left there, saying that, sorry, we had a run. Important business came up. It turns out that Jonah and Uncle Ben went to go meet their secret informant. And this is where we get our boy Robbie Robertson making an appearance. Now, as you already know from the first issue, Robbie Robertson is working with the Daily Bugle. He wasn't one of the gentlemen that left during Wilson Fisk's overtaking of the Bugle. Our secret informant is Robbie Robertson. So Jonah and Uncle Ben are having a meeting with Robbie Robertson in a very underground parking lot where the elevator just doesn't even function to get to, as Jonah complains that they have to take the stairs to even get to it. Robbie wanted to be very secretive, so they're meeting there. Now that Uncle Ben and Jonah have established their own newspaper business, their own news source, it seemed that Robbie worked on a specific case that just wouldn't be allowable to be published on the Bugle since Wilson Fisk has taken it over. And it wouldn't be a part of the narrative that Wilson wants people to follow. So Robbie contacted Uncle Ben and Jonah to pass over the story that Robbie has investigated so that they can publish it themselves in their newspaper. And it's funny because Jonah tries inviting Robbie to join their newspaper business, and the way Jonah tries inviting him over, Jonah says, "You know, we just stole some money from a rich lady. You want to join a losing cause?" I thought that was an amazing line. And then we have Captain Britain, who flies into New York to have a meeting with Wilson Fisk. He has a bodyguard of his own, which is just another bullseye. Like, as I was reading this, I just had a double take. I was like, wait, what? Wasn't he captured by the Green Goblin and, like, tortured? What is he doing here? Well, it gets explained further that Captain Britain does have just a army of these assassins. Now that I'm remembering also, as the Bullseye was getting tortured by Harry after getting captured, he does talk about how he's a part of this cult that a lot of people like him have to go and endure all this pain just to have this like armor. So this little army that Captain Britain's controlling is just that little cult. Now during the meeting with Wilson Fisk, they talk about Fisk having troubles with the previous assassin that was bestowed upon him, the one that was captured by the Green Goblin. And of course, Fisk is just like, well, I haven't seen him, and I know there isn't a body, so what do you want me to do about it? Captain Britain does acknowledge the Kingpin struggle, as Captain Britain himself has already encountered a batch of troublemakers back in Ultimates issue number 1, of course released in 2024. Now for anyone that isn't caught up with the Ultimates comics 2024, in issue 1 Captain Britain does come across the Ultimates, which in the Ultimate Universe is just another Avengers team. They're just called the Ultimates. And they gave Captain Britain a beatdown in issue number 1. So he already understands the Kingpin's struggle here. Captain Britain even offers more Bullseye members to try to help out the Kingpin. But the Kingpin refuses, stating that he already has a team of 6 that he's got lined up to avoid any troubles. And ladies and gentlemen, of course, he is insinuating the Sinister 6 of the Ultimate Universe. Ooh, this is it, boys. We are eating our cake. Now personally for me, since I've been following this Ultimate Universe from the very beginning, with how the maker just jumped around time, preventing superheroes from being even created, I've also been following the Ultimates comic line just to understand more of how the universe works. And so far, I can safely say I'm enjoying it. I'm also following Ultimate Black Panther and Ultimate X-Men. Ultimate X-Men is kind of slow. It feels more like a anime. Better yet, it reads more like Persona 4. If you've ever played Persona 4, you understand what I mean. Safe to say, I'm thoroughly enjoying the Ultimate Universe myself, especially since continuity is definitely being kept. To an extent, of course. Time shenanigans tend to be pretty confusing. Now this comic finally ends with an epic fight sequence. Both the Green Goblin and Spider-Man are testing out their suits in a fighting motion, just so Dr. Otto Octavius can get more data on them to properly activate Spider-Man's AI, since Otto did need to tinker with it more. Upon receiving all the data needed, Dr. Otto Octavius activates the suit's AI for both Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. Once receiving their brand new AI integrated into their suits, they get into a very intense fight sequence to properly test it out. Even though it's not a genuine fight with real thread, we do get real fists getting thrown. Harry Osborn has the AI that sounds like his father, and you can only imagine where it goes with that. And Spider-Man has an AI that just sounds like him. since he already is a father. Just to make it clear, Spider-Man didn't pick an AI that sounds like him because he is a father. To him, he just seems to be a already well-established adult. So to him, no one really comes to mind, since his father figure in, the main universes, it's always been Uncle Ben. So in this case, Spider-Man really doesn't have anyone that he wants to be his AI. So it's just himself. And the Green Goblin, well, he has his father as his AI. And as you can remember from my previous reviews, and if you've been keeping up with the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, Harry's dad has always just degraded him. Norman Osborn just seemed like he was very disappointed in his son the entire time he was alive. Or at least that's from the perspective of the flashbacks that we've gotten through Harry himself from the previous issues. So as you can imagine, his very asshole dad, for some reason, he picked him, is just in his head, just calling him a big disappointment as he's fighting Spider-Man in this training sequence, which causes him to throw some really good punches, of course trying to receive the approval of his father. It becomes very obvious even Spider-Man catches on to that fact. Both him and his AI agree that Harry definitely needs some therapy. The sparring match finally ends with the Green Goblin using a unibeam to blast Spider-Man away. And disappointingly, ladies and gentlemen, Harry is questioning like, well, Dad, how was that? And the AI is just like, acceptable. Like, dang, bro. I don't know why you picked your dad, man. I'm sure, yeah, definitely Harry misses his dad, of course. That's definitely the reason why he picked him. But come on, man. I think that's definitely gonna make things worse for his mental state. So get ready, ladies and gentlemen. We are gonna get ourselves a villain. Once the match ends, it seems that Dr. Otto Octavius is receiving a third signal in his computer system. Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, upon seeing Otto freak out about this, they question like, yo, what's wrong? What's going down? But it seems whatever this third connection, this third signal has already taken control of the computer systems there. That exact moment we get Iron Lad making his appearance physically in this moment. Seems that he transported through a portal of some kind. I imagine that's when he was time traveling and going around making superheroes. So once he was done with that, he's like, alright, are you guys good? Are you guys superheroes? And that's basically what he's doing here. He makes an appearance in front of Spider-Man and says, I told you I'd be back in 6 months. And here I am. I just have one question for you. Are you a hero yet? And we're left on a to be continued, ladies and gentlemen. So now our cliffhanger is left off with Iron Lad making his appearance right in front of Spider-Man, and of course in front of Otto and the Green Goblin, Harry Osborn. So one can only imagine what's going to transpire next. This comic definitely has me on my toes. I cannot wait for the next issue. Definitely overall, this Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 7 is solid gold. Go out, I recommend it, read it. I've been invested enough in the Ultimate Universe, like I said, to invest in Ultimate Black Panther and Ultimate X-Men, also the Ultimates. Since the Ultimates just, as of this issue, just barely started, like they're at issue number 2, I've been thoroughly keeping up with just the Ultimates more thoroughly than Ultimate Black Panther and Ultimate X-Men. I'd say I'm a couple issues behind on each of those. But the Ultimate, since there's only 2 issues, I've been very invested in that universe. Invested enough to see how it even works. Safe to say though, Ultimate Spider-Man has just been solid through and through from the very beginning. And this issue is no different. I really enjoyed the sparring match that Spider-Man and the Green Goblin had at the very end. Man, it just oozes so much future potential. Now that the Green Goblin, Harry Osborn, has his own AI that he can't turn off, I wonder if that's only when he's wearing the suit itself, because, he can take it off. I don't know about Spider-Man. Spider-Man has like some nanotech that allows him to just switch outfits. I'm not sure if he's able to take it fully off. So would this AI work even when they don't have the suits? Because if it's constantly on 24/7, you can only imagine just that disappointment father just tormenting poor Harry. Oh man, we're in it now, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video at any point, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.